Hello and welcome to the Tumbled Tankard. I am Jim, aka Argent Wind, and I am your dungeon master and host for DM&D. And joining me is Nans here, one of our fellow uh, high-ranking folks in the Tankard in the tavern, and who makes this happen here. So, say hi, Nans.
Hi, Nance. What's
Um,
going on, guys?
today we're yeah. Today we're going to be talking about a whole new world. The idea of starting up some world building, and we've talked about world building quite a bit over the span of our 48 previous shows. In varying aspects there, from just like the general ideas of world building to very specifics and how we build elements of that world building into a campaign. So today we're actually going to start talking about building an actual world. And you'll see there's a picture there with some land masses and things here. And we're going to have some ideas about how we're kind of going to use this and talk about it. And maybe do some actual world building with you here in the chat. So if you have the ideas you want to throw out there, or just questions about what we're talking about, throw it in the chat, and we'll keep the discussion going. But kind of without further ado, I kind of like so. First of all, really important thing with world building. Sometimes starting with a map is a really cool idea. And Nans, you tell us how you got this map here.
So I was searching around for a bunch of different maps. One started with okay, I need a map that has a spire in the center because I wanted my land masses to be separated, can see the spire, but can't actually get to it. Two, I wanted them to have its own individual feel and look and presence. So I started looking for maps that had land masses that had mostly water, but mostly land. And then I found this website that I'm now putting in the chat. Um, it's worldsmith.io. I found it on YouTube. There was a guy talking about it. I said, let me give it a look. They have random generated maps on there for you to use. And I found 4 or 5 of them that suited best what I was looking at. I then took those maps and dropped them into nope, not World Anvil, into the other one.
Incarnate.
Incarnate, that's the one. Thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate it. And then from there, I just started buffering out some of the oceans. As you can see, it's not completely done, but
Right.
blending it into the background and making it do more what we want to do.
Exactly. And Nan showed this to me, and um, I think I ended up having an idea, and then Nance had a very similar idea. And so one of the things we talked about doing is because one of the things we run into with world building, especially when you're talking about a shared world building, where more than one DM, more than one creator is trying to put something together for campaigns. Well, right off the bat here, you have essentially 5 different land masses to play with. And you can hand one to each dungeon master, and each one can kind of build their own section of the world. And then eventually, somewhere another way, you can kind of have those little different land masses come into conflict with each other, or some things can happen in a campaign that's very, very interesting. But then we got into the idea of like what happens when like I want to do something about like this high fantasy crazy place, and yours a survival gritty place like that. When I show up, I'm gonna walk all over you. And so then we are in kind of those conflicting campaign ideas and conflicting world building elements. And so, uh, I mean, I thought of this, and Nan saw this too. Let's call this the Spireverse. There's a big spire in the middle.
Hmm.
And essentially, what you have right here is one layer of the Spireverse. And then there's multiple layers stacked, kind of like a record player with all different records on there for you old folks there that remember records. Um, you can literally have just an essentially infinite number of layers of the Spireverse. And the one thing they all have in common is that spire running down the middle of them all. And so a really interesting sort of cosmological, like metaphysical weirdness and that you can enter the spire in one layer and go up and come out another layer if you want to. Um, and so just sort of so now not only do you have 4 landmasses on each layer, or you could modify some ones here, then you could have okay, well, this whole layer belongs to this person, and this whole layer belongs to this person. So that's how you get to sort of an infinite set of worlds to build with.
Yeah, and I think the crazy part will doing a Spire bit will be like this is just base layer. And when we put on top, somebody could find some really high tech world maps that are like, I don't know, traveler system based. So
Sure.
it looks more realistic than what a fantasy game would look like. And
Yeah,
to be the player who has to go through the spire to get down to the next plane of existence, let's call it, um, it is should be challenging. It should be difficult. It should be like if you go in there, you're gonna die, and if you don't, you may find something really cool on the other side. A whole new world. I'm not gonna spoil.
exactly. The idea is you have these land masses within one layer and then multiple layers to play with, and that can turn into something that you can do where multiple layers are in conflict with each other. Imagine the bottom right there, the big land mass in the center of that bottom right map has some sort of crazy mage tower, and they figured out how a way to punch a hole through to the next layer above, um, without going through the spire. And so it's just a lot of interesting ideas coming around from having this sort of a setup. Not only you don't have to play with the multiverse aspect of this, you can have your entire campaign and all the world building you want to do on one landmass or one world. And so kind of give us a kind of a starting point at least of like how we can turn people loose in an area and have them play. Because it's one thing with world building, it's really easy to fall into the trap of I'm getting so focused on one area that I can't think to the other areas around, or I want this country and this thing and this thing, and suddenly your entire campaign is shrunk down to one place, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with a campaign that takes place in one city, one country. I mean, it's again, the scope of your campaign can be whatever you want it to be, and the scope of your world building can be whatever you want it to be. So, just something to keep in mind. Yes, punch a hole through so you don't have to go through the stairs. Exactly, because I was even thinking of the idea of some high level campaign where you're all playing members of the Spire Guard, who are kind of like a TVA kind of thing there from Marvel Universe, where basically you send these powerful party of individuals who will go down and help get rid of a threat to a layer or something. Kind of a fun little way to go, but
So, Jim,
yeah.
that's a player of mine who almost died to stairs numerous times in many of my campaigns.
Of
So,
course, of course. I've heard some of the stories there. Yes, stairs
they
are a nemesis for many people, both
they
in real life and games.
right. Uh, so where do we want to start now that we've got a map? Now, an
Yeah,
idea in our head. Do we want to start with like, okay, this is the landmass. What is that landmass called? Do we want to just start with a country? Where would you go from here?
me
Yeah.
or you guys in the chat. Yeah, throw your in the chat there.
Hmm.
I claim that in the land of the name of Tao, it's like in the top right corner. Sure, whatever. Um, yeah, so again, claiming a certain area, saying I want this to be mine and I want to do this with it. Cool. Let's see. For me, I really, I mean, I have two choices. I kind of like the bottom right because it's kind of that cool like land masses with a lot of water in the middle there. A fun little like pirate campaign or uh,
Hmm.
um, some sort of interesting way to go with that. The bottom left sounds fun too. It's almost like a wasteland kind of thing with all that desert around the outer edges. It'd be kind of fun too. But I'm cool with either of those.
Do you know what my ideas were for both of those landmasses?
What were you thinking?
So underwater world
Okay, right.
for the big water mass, and then
Mhm.
the orcs from World of Warcraft.
Sure, sure. Yeah,
Because you know
very much that.
it's got that feel to it. So I'm thinking this is
Hmm.
like orcs or maybe giants, possibly
Yep.
just tore
Oh
across the
yeah,
land and tore it all
yeah.
up. Yep.
Totally looks like there. And yeah, you have the green area where the Tauren would be, and so the trolls, and the northern area where the orcs would be. Where it's all, yeah, that's fun. Absolutely. Um,
Let's
so
start
I
with
don't know which.
the water one.
Okay, let's go with the water one. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All right.
because
You want to zoom in on?
you can do
Want to
like
zoom in on that one?
the you could do like the on top of the world, and I could do underwater stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Give me a
And
second. I will.
that turns into a fun little thing of like basically people on the shores, people on ships, and whatever's in the water below too.
Mm-hmm, hmm
Or you think like
Um,
nation of like merfolk or things like that?
I was thinking merfolk. I was thinking like kraken.
Oh,
Anything
of
to that
course, yeah.
effect. That is too big.
Oh, there we go. That's
There you
good. Yeah,
go.
good. Yeah, yeah. Um,
Just so that
right.
now I had to when I was going through and building obviously the big map version of it, I was playing with
Hmm.
which direction each landmass was going. So some of them I had in different directions. So when I pop them up when we go to work with them, I'll have to reorientate it for
No
what it
worries.
looks like on ours. But this
Yeah.
one happens to be in the right way.
Okay. And merfolk or kraken. Yes. Yeah. Probably a little bit of both, maybe. Yeah.
Giant sea
Well,
turtle, dragon
yeah.
turtle.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's one of those ones that like the idea of okay, so let's say I mean I'm gonna try to zoom in here a little bit myself so I can see what I'm looking at here. So like that flat like green space right in the middle on the coastline there.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of see that being sort of a very much of a farming community with like shipyards all around the outside there, sort of a pastoral kind of place there. That big section of rock or a lake in the middle, maybe. I can't see what that is exactly there, but the idea of that space being kind of things built around that and just farms everywhere and then coastal cities. Um,
I believe that is a sphere of holy undeathfulness. I don't know.
I'm
It could
thinking,
be
I mean,
like it felt
yeah.
it felt
Mhm.
like, some type of sci tech super high fantasy thing came along and was just like, we're gonna build this here. And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I like it.
Nice. Okay. So it might be that something like long lost relic of some civilization that was built there and then collapsed
Hmm.
and didn't and has been lost. So
Yes.
another secret to explore potentially.
Yes. Now that I've zoomed in better, it's actually a frosty mountaintop.
Okay.
All by itself.
So yeah. And so, um, anyway, we haven't set a scale for this area too. So that could be that landmass could be 100 miles across, it could be 1,000
Hmm.
or 5,000 miles across. I mean, it comes down to how big of a scale you want to have. Um, you kind of go with that. I kind of see that the whole mountain range on the left side.
Yes.
Um, there kind of being this whole like land of like frozen I totally see like being frost giants and yeti and all kinds of things like that. Just living in those mountains, they're sort of land bound.
Yeah.
Be
Um,
fun.
it could be, or right next to that on the top, in like very center. Um,
Mhm.
that looks very like air elemental.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
some Janasa live up in there. Um, the
Sure.
the one that really caught my eye when I was looking at this map, besides the fact that it had like seaports already drawn in for me, if
Oh, good.
if you look over at the top right hand corner, there's just
Uh
that
huh.
one mountain that's got all kinds of red around it next to
Uh
everything
huh.
else that is blue. And my brain went, is there a fire dragon living there?
Hmm. It can also be very much an iron rich place there. There's a massive dwarven kingdoms in the middle there. With all mining iron and everything.
There you go, Dal.
Could be
There's your
fun.
dwarfs.
Yep. I mean, you could even say okay that is sort of the middle on the bottom all those massive mountains all on one side there, having like the half of that being all dwarves over there and the other half being all orcs, and
Yeah.
they kind of clash in the valley in the middle.
Oh, that poor valley. That poor valley.
Yep. What's the entire landmass of the valley? So it's crazy. Um, and so Yeah, and this is just some things to pick out. Just and this is one of those things in world building. A lot of times having a map like this just gives you like it can almost just inspire you into what could be there. Things that make sense, things that might be a little strange. I did the same thing when I got the Average World map. I did a lot of that with like this place is obviously very south to be warm, very jungle-like area. This place is going to be very cold up here, so these are the kind of creatures that will live there, the kind of creatures that live here. So it just having a landmass is a great way to world build because it can just give you ideas. Your eyes gravitate toward an area that just screams, "I want to put a kingdom here. I want some dwarves here and some giants there." It just kind of so the world building takes on that sort of like that global aspect of this whole map, and then you can dial into the specifics.
Yeah.
So what sort of so where would you are you talking like multiple like swarms of kraken or just like one massive kraken to have to worry about?
One kraken, because like it would go around this whole area as this is my territory type thing. Krakens are huge,
Hmm.
dare I say gargantuan in size.
Yeah,
So like to sit there and say, it's only I'm gonna have like 100 of them just doesn't sound right.
yeah.
One controlling that whole thing sounds pretty good to me.
It'd be fun to kind of see like the whole like bottom right kind of where all that dark where those mountain spires are and all that dark deep water obviously just having that whole like south like
Hmm.
central south pass is completely blocked off by the fact that it's kraken hunting territory.
That is where it likes to get its food. Yep.
Yep.
And so
So
like
anything
if
gets
you
too close, yeah.
yeah, if you go over there, that is what it is.
That's an evil idea there. Basically, instead of kraken making a Godzilla that wanders around the bottom of there and then comes up on land every now and then to just destroy anything that's too close to the coast. It'd be fun as well. Yep. Um, oh yeah, this map does have some like actual locations on it, doesn't it?
It has some, but you can't really read the words, even though I've blown it up a million times. I can't
Gotcha.
get the words to read out. So like,
It's fine.
and I think it's in a different language, and I don't read Dwarven,
Gotcha.
or as I used to say, I don't read Goblin.
That too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So we have again this really cool set of land masses. I mean, obviously, and then it comes down to what's your world going to have in it. Is it going to be your traditional fantasy race? Is it going to be more um, leaning toward one main race and then a few variations? It really comes down to what kind of game you're running here. And because again, this is a Spireburst kind of thing, you could literally say that hey, this entire spire is mostly populated by this, and this one's mostly populated by these things, and there we go. Each land mass could have its own sort of like group of species that live there and everything. So yeah, it's interesting to see how you go, how you want to put it together. The possibilities are, as they say, endless.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so the Kraken there in the bottom right there in the dark waters, where we see our other like aquatic nations.
Um, so like aquatic nations are hard because a lot of times they like to be left alone. That's why they're deep dark underwater, right?
Hmm.
Um, Tritons usually only come to surface when it's benefits them best,
Hmm.
like trade and whatnot. They'll have a specific set core group of people that they trust to do the trades, and that is it. You won't see a ton of Triton walking on land.
Sure.
And so I was thinking, like, there's a peak where the river goes up into the main part of the country from the south.
Hmm. Yeah.
I was
The
thinking,
bay there. Yeah.
yeah, that little bay there. I was thinking about having a small Triton city there of those emissaries, as it
Hmm.
were.
Yeah.
And we could make that a travel port, a destination city. We could make it, um, it could be like. this is where all the world peoples come together to have a conversation, all depending on
Sure.
what we wanted to do. And I
Yeah.
have no
Um,
qualms doing any of it.
yeah. I can see almost maybe using so there's this little like I wish I want to point to it and I can't because I
I
can't ping the map.
mhm.
Um, so there's that little like almost like a fish shaped landmass that kind of sticks out from so that little kind of like pointy up bay in there, and then to the left of that there's a little part that sticks out, and then there's that little like
Looks like a
peninsula.
fish.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like a fish. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that could almost be like the emissary island or whatever, and like the Triton are out in the deep part of the middle of the bay, uh, or out in the middle of that strait or small ocean, whatever you want to call this. And then I kind of see that fish island being almost um like in the Mediterranean, one of the Mediterranean kind of thing, like some sort of like sacred island that's used by the uh Triton and whoever else come to visit them.
And only certain people are allowed to get on it. People who do
Sure.
otherwise get on it. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Yep. And then those industrious dwarves across the other side of the strait there in those mountains. I
Mm.
see almost straight across, and where that river comes in and empties out
Uh-huh.
into the ocean there, being a massive like dwarven port.
Yep. What I like about that landmass there is you could almost put every type of dwarf in it. You've got hills, you've got
Yeah.
mountains, you've got the
Hmm.
forests. And gnomes could even coexist in here because of the same aspect. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, that's actually where my head would go is where do I want to put the different races?
Hmm.
What races do I
Yeah,
want to have on this continent?
exactly. And that again, a big part of world building is sort of like what lives here, what lives there, what things coexist there. I mean, so yeah, instead of humans in the bottom left in the rocky waste. Sure, yeah, yeah. Just kind of throw them off to the side there. Um, or maybe there are no humans on this land mass. Maybe humans are on a different land mass and they've never come across these ones over here. Um, that's one thing to consider too, is that each of these four land masses could have different sets of races and species and how they go. And depending on how well or because again, there's a lot of space between these land masses. It's all open ocean essentially. They can't even see each other. That could be I would separate them.
Yeah.
They can fish. All they can fish for is piranha. Great. Uh, I see that. I see that means so. I kind of picture like the Warcraft trolls of being able to just like fish anything from the coastline and eat anything they grab.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they did because
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah. Um
Yeah,
so after I figure out where I would want to put individuals and speaking of humans by the way, I like to salt and pepper them in wherever it
sure.
feels natural to have them because I have this strange feeling that in fantasy world humans are the minority and when you see us, yeah, we're there, but I mean, go up the
Now,
road a half a mile, you'll see another one.
I think in most fantasy worlds, humans are the majority, but they're never in any adventuring party ever.
No, because
Like
we play humans
there's
in
the
real life.
token. Yeah, yeah, I hear that all the time. It's like sometimes humans can be interesting in a game where there's all these other crazy fantasy races.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's playing that like I am a human in a world full of really strange things. This is really bizarre. That can be fun too. I played that in my yeah, Nils was my token human character, but actually he was more. He was actually a half elf. Now that I remember, so never mind.
So I'm playing
Yeah,
in a
I'm guilty of
campaign.
it too. I
Yeah.
never play humans either, so I'm guilty of it too.
I'm playing in a campaign where I introduce myself as half human. And
Hmm.
a lot of people, I don't understand what that means. Well, it means that I am not a half orc because half orc assumes that you are half of orc and half of something else, but nobody
Yeah.
ever defines what the something else is.
Hmm.
And I don't think that in base D&D rules there are ways for you to be able to Well, I'm half orc, but I'm also half human, so can I pick up some human feats and traits as well?
Sure.
You'd have to talk to your DM about it, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's another world building aspect too. Is how much can the races well intermingle in some way? In Avarice, dwarves and gnomes could have kids together. Halflings and humans could. Elves and forest gnomes could. Um, so there was that aspect there. It wasn't really common, but there were NPCs the party ran into
Mhm.
that were half dwarf, half gnome. Um, there various half elves of different things. I think they actually ran into one that was no, not in this campaign. I've actually run into an NPC in a different campaign where they were half dwarf, sorry, half elf, half orc.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I've been toying with the idea of a goblin nation
Hmm.
where they're not inherently evil,
Oh yeah,
right? Because I
yeah,
mean, most goblins, yes, are inherently evil, and that is the name of the game is to kill the goblins immediately. But as
sure.
I found through Avarice, they can be sentient and still be just doing what they would normally be doing. It doesn't make them good or bad.
The goblins in Avarice are basically Ferengi. So if you're Star Trek fans out there, they're obsessed with money and trade and debts, and that's what their society is based around, and keeping their secrets and stuff. So I mean, they really are just sort of like the ultimate selfish merchant type folks there. The funny thing was that in this will come up. This is something I've mentioned in the past. There is that uh, originally after the cataclysm and the whole thing started off there were no hobgoblins because hobgoblins in my world are half orc, half goblin.
Gross.
Yep.
That's
Hey, and ogres are half orc, half giant.
well, what does that say about Athena?
That's that's the whole thing. Athena in my world, Goliaths are just when magic started to fail, giants started to have runts. Like so basically Goliath, typical Goliath, are stone giant runts.
We are. We are.
Yep. Ogres are hill giant runts. So
Glad I didn't pick Hill Giant.
yep.
Ah.
Oh,
Oh, turn up my
Mike is
mic. It's all the way
really
up.
okay.
It's all the way up,
Wow.
Chica. I don't know how much more to get it up. Let me play with Discord. Thanks, though.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Um And again, are goblins evil in the world? It depends. That's something you have to make. You have to make in your world building. There, you can pick. You can say that all elves are evil, no matter what they are. You could say that. I mean, orcs are just in Avarice. The original orcs were they were just Mongols. They lived they lived in a giant plains and loved their horses and rode horses across the plains
Check, 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 check.
the whole thing. And so the orcs in Avarice were literally the Mongols, the Mongol horde. Um, so again, your world, you decide what they are, and it's important that when you're a player in a world like this, there is it hard to it's hard to bring in those preconceived notions when a DM brings forth the thing. Hey, these guys aren't evil. They're just this. They're just merchants. They're just explorers. They're um they're just um they just love their horses and they love their boats or whatever else whatever's about them. Um it it then becomes something you need to kind of reinforce with the players and reinforce in the world building and everything else. Um so that the players know what to expect from it there. If they I hate orcs and I want to kill orcs. Why? What happened? Well, there must be a story there, but is it really one that makes sense for the world? It all depends. So yeah, you're talking about my voice. I hope I'm coming
N-
through loud enough. But yeah,
No, it's not
how
you. It's me. But like, my mic is all the way up on both ends.
yeah,
So
I hear you just fine.
I don't know, Talum. I don't know. Dow's in there. Dow, can you hear pretty good?
I just listened to the stream a little bit there, and yeah, you are quieter than me, so I'm not sure if there's a
Hmm.
balancing level issue or
Well, why don't we turn you down a little bit?
okay, and then turn the whole thing up.
Well, my whole mic is all the way up.
I mean, like that's the overall vocal settings for
I
the
did,
stream.
I did that. Yep,
Okay,
yep.
I want to destroy everyone's eardrums with my voice.
We love your voice, Jim. Don't go
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there. uh,
So
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Where are you
Uh,
going?
I
You
was
jumped in
gonna
there. Yeah.
say, like now that we roughly have an idea of what type of races we're gonna have in here, maybe start naming the different land masses
Yeah.
and dropping them in there. I don't have my notebook on me.
Right. And one thing, if you have the ability to do this, I would highly recommend there. If there's a way to take this, drop the map into Incarnate, and then you could actually then start like fuzzing out or making things on that map your own. Because one thing again, the layers from one to the other in the Spireverse,
Hmm.
like all like that mountain or those cities that are on this map there may not be there in a different layer. Those road like things yeah, so now I'm quiet too. So maybe turn up your main volume.
I've
Nothing.
turned, I have turned up
No.
all the volumes. I can't turn up
Okay.
the volumes any higher,
Okay.
unfortunately.
So um so hopefully maybe we're more balanced and we just turn up the overall if our viewers can turn up their volume a little higher. I don't know. Um but anyway, yeah, so yeah, once you have this the overall landmass moved into something like Incarnate, then you could go in and like put your own details on, start putting in actual like country borders, and everything else. No worries there, dude. It's fine. I get it. Sometimes volume issues are a pain in the butt, and so we're always running into those kind of things. So I'm glad you're able to let us know. Um, but yeah, so again, yeah, getting things in there, setting your borders, making your own details, everything else. So, but we're working with this map right now. So what thing you want to jump in there and what would you like to throw out there in terms of a location and a name?
Why don't we let the guys in the chat decide it?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
guys in the chat, pick a corner of the world and name it. I mean, you guys will be running in it at some point or playing
yeah,
in it, so have a say. In the
yeah,
meantime, Tritons, Kraken.
sure, sure. I mean, if you want to get some sort of an underground war thing going, Triton versus Hogwen are always a really fun dynamic.
The Ogwen. I didn't think about the Ogwen.
Yeah, that's yep. So Hogwen, or just evil like water genasi or something. That can be an interesting way to go.
Dow.
Come on, Dow.
Oh, dear Lord.
Okay, half nipple hills.
No, listen, y'all are hilarious. Um, let's see. Far East is the middle one. Um, what about, are we talking the whole thing or just individual parts, Jim?
I think probably individual parts. I don't see. I mean, again, I mean, naming an entire area indicates that somebody knows about the entire area. like, like that's something to keep in mind here. If you call something, somebody had to name that. So, um, that becomes part of the, kind of your history in your world building. There is if you call give an area or a landmass or the entire area, the entire thing a name, then someone has seen it all and named it. So
Yes, me, the
is
Almighty.
well again, the Almighty isn't the one playing the game, and the players wouldn't know this.
This
So
is true.
um, yeah, land of the happy half orcs. Of course, yes. Yes, I know. It's fine. Um, well, and again, it's. I mean, you can be absolutely throw out whatever you like there in your world, and I like the fact that people can do this. But then again, when it comes to like actually running a game or setting up things there, um, bottom left Bernesia. Okay.
Bernie.
Yes.
Oh, Bernie.
Yes. I mean,
Maybe.
I
Possibly. It's the only name that I've seen so far that could actually work.
um I guess if we did sort of like take so I kind of seen that bottom left where all the forests and the mountains on the left side of the landmass with the mountains on it on the right.
Uh-huh.
So bottom left, kind of like those that forest area down.
It sure does. It sure
Sure. Yep.
does.
Of course
Yeah.
it does. Yep. So I guess then in that forest area down south, southwest of the southwest of the Half Nipple Hills there. Um,
No, it's canon now, Jim.
I mean, hey, you're throwing it in there. It's fine. And I'll take a different landmass after this. We're gonna
Yep.
no. So, so then, yeah. What lives in Bernesia?
Isn't that where we were discussing dwarves and gnomes?
Uh, well, we're talking about like definitely the mountains to the east side of that. I mean, being dwarves, and then the kind of the trees immediately to the east, to immediately to the west of that. Do you want the entire landmass to be dwarves, gnomes, and
No, I
such?
think that's too big, don't you? I don't know how big the dwarf population gets or the gnome dwarf population gets. Um,
They tend to. I mean, at least canon wise, in terms of the lore of most of the fantasy series, neither of them they live a long time, so they don't breed super fast.
so then maybe
Um,
not. Maybe we can make it a couple of different races that live in there.
yeah, I mean, obvious obviously you'd have things like, I mean, forest gnomes versus rock gnomes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, top right being the high cliffs. Top right,
Rob.
okay.
Rob.
Public of Tika, of course, yes. Sure, yeah. Um,
The RT, huh?
yep. The rot.
Listen,
Public of Tika.
I did ask, and I did
Yeah,
get, uh-huh.
exactly. Well, and you know what? It's not a bad. The placeholder names are great, or just something we want to kind of do things.
Mm-hmm.
Great kobolds and koi fish. Um, I mean, yeah, kobolds are a fun one. They can definitely. I could almost see like a full like massive like kobold like tribe living around that mountain in the center of the on the left sort of the left side of that landmass. The
You know
big
what
the
I'm
big white mountain area there. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm-hmm. We could.
um,
So
and then assume, yeah,
I'm gonna drop this in a roll 20 so that we have something to play with next time, Jim.
yeah, exactly. Then we can actually like ping the map and be able to kind of
Uh-huh.
start typing things on it. Yes,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, so we've got a few different ideas. But Jimothy, no, thank you. Yeah. Um, I mean, I was looking at. I'm looking at the very top of the map there, where those big white mountains are, kind of curving around there, and calling the Argent Peaks. There you go.
Why not? That actually works
Yeah,
really well. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Argent is silver, so White Peaks there. It works there. So, um,
It's a placeholder.
yeah. And what lives up there? That could be because those are kind of isolated and everything else. Be fun to basically like white and silver dragons live up there
Mm-hmm.
because it's all isolated and rocky peaks. Yeah, No, we're not going to do too much of my name in there. I don't want to throw too much of my own self-insert stuff.
Yes, because then we get big heads and we don't need to do that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. Besides, I already have my own entire world. So,
He does. And now
yep,
we're creating a world for players to pick up and
yeah.
run with. Hmm.
Um, so, uh, it's funny. I'm looking at this like this right in the middle, sort of a on the left side near the top there, that big, that triangular shaped island.
Hmm.
That's an undead kingdom right there. It's all like blasted and dark and like no trees there. All that crazy, the almost like a ruined mountain set of mountains there.
Right.
Um, be a fun name for that.
For the undead.
Yes,
Depends. Are they meaty or are they skeletony?
I mean probably if they've been isolated there long enough, there's probably not much meat left on them at this point.
So they are skeletony. Okay.
Yep.
Ah, yes.
The see,
Right.
I don't know. I mean,
Um, we're talking specifically that, and it's unholy. So, I mean,
mhm,
me being the paladin, it could be something that has to do with the word unholy.
sure. Or just
Uh,
something to do with dead or dark. Crab Claw Coast, right at the bottom right. I can see that. Kind of sort of northeast of where the Kraken lands are. Happy Fun Land.
all
Maybe
right.
that's what it used to be, and now it's
Hmm.
an undead
Yeah,
uh like blasted hellscape of what it used to be.
used to be Happy Fun Lands, and then we
There's a
destroyed
pop-up
it.
window map. I don't see a pop-up window map.
What's a pop-up window map?
I don't know. Being told to remove pop-up window map. I don't know. Um, so, so now we start getting into more like history of like this is what it is now. What did it used to be? How did it get this way? Um, and so that turns into some more about world events. What could be threats? There's a bit. Oh, a map over the big map. Oh yes, because we have the close up of the bottom right map on top of the overall like land, the overall map.
Hmm. We did a blow up so you guys could see it better.
Up, yeah, yeah. We were just looking at the land masses of the bottom right one to start with. So again, yeah, and that top right one there, have have at it.
Yeah, get me some info, Dal. I'll put it in.
Yeah, yeah. Start picking out things and dropping things on there. Um, so really, so then again, so we know we're planning like like gnomes and dwarves and everything else. We got some giants scattered around, some dragons scattering around. Um, what other races do we want on? And we know Tritons, maybe Sahagwin. Um, what other races do we want to have on this area?
So, D&D has expanded its world of races and everything
Hmm.
that you can use, right? Like it's literally blown up. You could literally play anything your heart can imagine. And it's not
Hmm.
just D&D. That has expanded on all TTRPGs at this point.
Hmm.
So, for me, limiting this world to just the classic few races or picking one of these lovely worlds that we were looking at and using that as one of the this is where all the classic races were going to be. But
Sure.
but as we talk about it more, I see that maybe that might not be the best way to go because stuffs. I know that
Well,
doesn't make sense, but
it does. Because one thing I consider too is that you may have. I mean, I've always someday I really want to play a Humblewood game with animal races.
hmm
That's all woodland type races that are all sort of kept into a certain spot. So I can see almost like one of these forests on here being Humblewood, and all the races in that area of the world are like the animal races. And then how they interact with things outside of it. That becomes it might be an interesting way to look at things. Maybe Bernesia down there in the bottom left there of the thing there, that's actually all animal races.
yeah, it could be.
I
Um,
mean,
we'd have
it
when we
was
get over there and look at it.
yeah.
Uh, I am
No, I mean of this map that we're looking at here, the main one. So that
okay.
little yeah.
Yeah. Um, Bernesia filled with little animals. That would be great. That would
Yeah,
focus right into with like you could possibly throw Feywild entry point into there.
sure. You want to? And we haven't even talked about planes, and how that interacts with this whole thing. One, my suggestion, at least,
hmm
is that each layer has its own set of planes. Essentially, kind of think about, like, if you want to think about it as like a disc or whatever as a material plane. The outer ring of that is the elemental planes, or if the elemental planes could be something like that exists between the layers, and then the outer planes are the gods and demons and everything else that are outside there. Um, that again, that's something we have to kind of figure out for the overall like multiverse, because I the idea that, well, the gods of one disc may be similar to the gods of the disc above and below, but not the exact same being. Maybe they have the same name. Maybe some variation on the name. Um, because then you could actually incorporate different pantheons, or kind of make your own up without worrying about it messing with other ones as well. Again, that's getting into the larger aspect of the not just world building but universe building. Um, so yeah, so we have a Bernicia. I mean that again, you can't. I want to point.
Mm.
I think maybe our next time here, let's get into Roll20, so we actually can point and start dropping in placeholder names and everything else, and getting ideas for a specific landmass, and then we can jump to another one in a future one there and start detailing that out.
I'm already ahead of you, Jim.
Excellent. Knew you would be.
hmm
Um, But and again, once we kind of you can build one out together, hand this off and say, "Here, have it." Or you could take that and just make your own variation of it and call it a different layer in the Spireverse, and replace what you like. Um, the games can be as big or as small as you like too. You could have your entire campaign, all take place on one island, like one of these land masses here, or one region. Like if you say, a Humblewood campaign could take place entirely in Bernicia. We've been silenced. What? No,
We've been silenced.
I don't think so. Hope not.
You should still be able to hear it.
Hope so.
No,
Let me see.
I don't know why you would have been. Everything seems to be running smoothly.
Yeah, yeah, I still hear us. Yeah. All
Okay.
right, cool. I just switch over there. Um, oh, okay. No worries. Uh, we have delays, obviously, so it's always a tricky thing there. And sometimes, yeah, if you leave a little wait time to throw some things in the chat there, it can be a little bit of dead air.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so let's plan for next time. Going in and yeah, with Roll20, we can actually ping the map, kind of start putting in places there. We can start here, maybe expand to a different one as we go. Get some feedback and input, and hopefully it isn't all Dow puns.
Mhm. Which we love, by
Although,
the way.
absolutely, and I mean, and the fun thing about it is that it does not hurt to uh, Silent Randy. Hmm. Hmm.
uh,
Interesting. Um,
Silence of the Talum.
um, so yeah, I think that's something we'll plan for. We'll go ahead and start actually dropping names onto places and kind of getting ideas about that, and then we'll kind of work our way around the other landmasses as we go, and maybe turning it into more ideas of what might be there. Because again, it's hard. World building can easily bleed into campaign creation. Of course not. Um, so you're one of this aspect of like, oh yeah, I got this idea for the world, and suddenly you're planning a campaign around it. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that sometimes world building can lead into that. Can definitely lead into that exercise. And then you might need to dial yourself back. If you say, "Hey, I want to do a campaign, but I only want to worry about this section right here." Well, you don't need to build the entire rest of the world or the other land masses even. Focus on your part. Focus on where you want to run things, and kind of go from there. There's no you don't have to do the entire thing all at once. In fact, I encourage you not to, because that can be too much. And if your campaign isn't of a scope that is needs to go to those places, there's no reason to go and build out all that up there, except for fun. If you're enjoying it and you want to go do it, then there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that sometimes it can bog down getting started running a game if you're too busy trying to figure out, well, what is this distant kingdom on the other continent? What do they trade and what reasons are there? But my players are never going to go there. Why would I?
Mhm.
So,
And
and
remember, guys,
uh,
Rome was not built in a day. Neither should your world.
no.
Take your time. Really think about what you're doing. Understand, like, so like my hardest part when I was starting was I have to build out the whole world, like we've been talking all night not to do. And and then it went into, okay, now here are the races. I need to understand the lore of every single race that I'm putting in that continent. No, it's my world. I can
Hmm.
have the race war if I want to, or I could just have a happy-go-lucky world where everybody likes everybody.
Hmm.
It's not as fun, but I can, because as a new DM, it's probably easier to start with everybody gets along with everybody. And then as your story develops, oh, now there's a conflict coming in because you helped one city, but you didn't help the other city.
Yep. Exactly. Um, so yeah. Again, it comes down to you might just I like the idea of like what's there might develop as you go in that direction or you find something. I mean, what could be fun in your world too is that your players at some point find a detailed map, maybe with some little like symbols or insignias on it. A really fun way to do your campaign would be to say, "Hey, there's a weird symbol on this map up here. We should go there and see what it is." And that can be a fun way to kind of drive events there based on a map. Or they may be bumbling around one little corner of the world for their entire time. It's along everyone, population boom, food shortage, yes, Hunger Games. Or they're now having to invade other places to get resources and a shortage of water in a water-based world. Well, if it's all salt water, yeah.
I think that was what the
It-
whole movie of Waterworld was all about, right?
yeah, yeah.
Was you couldn't
'Cause
have water and there was no land.
Yep, and it was so maybe some of the inland lakes have been poisoned by something or other, so there's no place to get water, and all those countries on the all those nations around the inland lakes are dying out because there's no fresh water for them.
Yeah, yeah, could be anything.
I mean, and what caused it? How do we stop it? How do we change it? That's there's a campaign for you.
Go chase down the talking tree.
Yep. Go find out what uh who's letting all the Terras pee in the water.
Wait, I thought you can only have one Tarrasque per world.
It's your world. Maybe you have a plane where like dozens of them roam the plane.
I put two on a map and people literally flipped out. It was great.
Oh, I know. It's great. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't have
Yep.
two Tarrasques in the same plane? Why not?
Sure. Why not? It's your world. It's your plane. Yep. Ooh, letting the pee in the water. Yes. Um, all right. Um, so again, if you want to use our Spireverse and kind of build it out there, or when we get a little bit further along there, if you want to grab that or grab your own landmass and start building out, we're going to make sure some of these pictures and images are available in various places. We can link to the website where they were created. It's in the chat here, but I'm going to drop it in the description of the video. We'll make things available on the Tumble Tankard as well. Make some of these images and pictures available for you, kind of so you can grab them yourselves and start playing with them. Um, and if nothing else, if you get inspired by what's here and want to just start building your own, or taking a map, or going to that website and finding your own, you don't need a giant world. You could just make one little island, or one little or a small little continent, or as large or small as you want to go. There's no limit to what you do because it's your game.
Yeah. The other thing about that website, guys, it does a lot of things other than just generate AI maps
Mhm.
for you. It helps you. I need a quest quick, and it will populate a quest. All you have to do is give it the parameters. Uh, I need an NPC that I think the players will love. Type in, all the things you love about your players, and then it'll pop out a character for you. NPCs,
Mhm.
monsters, players, anything that you could possibly think of. Now, we are obviously not being paid for this, but I can't say enough how much time I saved because of this new
Mhm.
creation, this new website, and it makes the game more coherent. So check it out, play with it, see what you guys think, and let me know.
Yep. And you'll still see me being old school with notebooks. There's nothing wrong with that too. But it doesn't hurt. Getting inspiration can come from so many different places. Something like that, even just to kind of go through and say, "Hey, generate an NPC. Ooh, I like that guy here. Let's just put them in my notes here, and I'm going to add that to here in the world." Or give me the random name of a shop. Cool, I like that. Then give me a layout. Again, a website like that is really a really powerful tool to your world building efforts. You don't have to do everything all by hand by yourself. There's so much to the world. It doesn't. It's a great idea to have a tool to help you generate more stuff. Anything else you want to throw in there, Nan?
Nope,
We're almost out of time here.
we are. That's the fastest
Yeah,
hour we've ever done.
that's crazy. Yep.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
next week we'll have Roll 20 up. I've already got the maps pre-generated in. I'll
Yeah.
probably
Cool.
make some document type things that say, hey, this is this country, this is that country.
Mhm.
Handouts, that's what those are called.
Yep. Yeah. If you want to do handouts for different countries there, and we'll just drop names on the map and start pinging the map and start playing with it and kind of go from there.
Yep, yep.
Um, so, well, since we are just about out of time here, I want to say thank you for jumping in the chat. There, it was great chatting with all you guys, and your ideas are really fun, and I can see us using a lot of them. Some maybe not so much, but some definitely can be incorporated in. Um, I do like it very much, and so um, hopefully then in 2 weeks we'll be back and kind of jump into the next phase of this with some actual names and kind of detail things out there. So, um, thanks again for being with us. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back again in a little while here. And until then, enjoy building your games, enjoy gaming with ideas. We'll see you again soon. Have fun. And stop by the tavern. Give you some drinks. Take care, folks. Bye.